What's good, family? Welcome back to the channel. In this video right here, we have a crazy true crime story. So we have this lady right here that called the cops begging for their help because she was about to get killed by her boyfriend for cheating. Now, it always boggles my mind how people have such a weird definition of love. Like, how could you be in a relationship, say you love an individual, and then they do you wrong, and now you want to go to the worst extreme punishment, which is death? Woof. That's crazy. Hey, that's why love is supposed to be selfless. Love is not supposed to be selfish or jealous or nothing like that. But let's read the description really quick. This is the story of a 26-year-old, a mother of four who was full of life and energy. She was in a relationship with a 51-year-old. All right, that's a huge ass age gap. What is going on here? Hey, look it said that she was calling them, saying that he was going to do the act of the murder. So I'm hoping that he actually didn't do it and she's still alive. Let's find out what's going on.
This is the story of 26-year-old Sharnice Brown, a mother of four who was full of life and full of energy. She loved her children and could often be seen dancing and having fun with them. She was in an abusive relationship with 51-year-old Rannon Brownlee, a convicted felon with a long criminal history. Together, the two had a blended family with 6 children. Sadly, after suffering years of abuse, Sharnice's decision to finally leave Rannon would result in him taking her life in the most brutal way in the presence of their children.
Dang.
Welcome to Viral Crimes. Subscribe and hit the bell icon for more stories. This story takes us to Kenosha, Wisconsin. 26-year-old Sharnice Brown, a resident of Kenosha, was the mother to 4 children aged 11, 7, 5, and 4. She worked as a certified nursing assistant at Meadowmere Southport. But her true passion and greatest joy were found in being a devoted mother. She cherished every moment spent with her children, her family, and her friends. Friends and loved ones described her as a woman who had a laugh that could brighten anyone's day, and a smile so dazzling and warm that it could lift spirits. Sharnice was in a relationship with 51-year-old Rannon Brownlee. Rannon worked as a driver for a food delivery company. Rannon was a convicted felon with a long criminal history, including a 1990.
Wait, hold up. I thought these were all different individuals. These are all the same. It's all the same dude. Bro, this look like it's from 1975. This man been in jail in and out since 1975 to 2020. Like, yo. It's like, yo, we have to just use some level of discernment in the partners that we're choosing at this point. Like, I'm not saying that if you're a felon, if you went to jail, you can't change. Yeah, you could definitely change. But, bruh, this man got more pictures from his freaking jail time than I do on Instagram. Like, man.
1993 conviction for possession with intent to deliver marijuana in Kenosha County, along with other convictions related to battery, criminal damage to property, disorderly conduct, and bail jumping over the years. In 2019, he received a disorderly conduct ordinance and was fined. Sharnice's relationship with Rannon was abusive. He would physically assault her on several occasions and accuse her of cheating on him. In 2019, he brutally assaulted her and was arrested, but she protected him and changed her story, therefore all charges were dropped against him. In 2021, after deciding she could no longer take his abuse, she decided she would finally break up with him. Sadly, days after informing him the relationship was ending, he would do the unimaginable. On Monday night, March 8, 2021, police responded to a residence near 73rd Street and 16th Avenue around 5:31 p.m. in response to a 911 call. This was the home Sharnice shared with Rannon and their blended family of 6 children. On the call, the caller, Sharnice Brown, was in distress. She was shouting for help.
Like, yo, he's also the father of these 6 children
and crying,
too,
saying that someone was trying to kill her and that she needed help urgently. She mentioned the person's name, Rannon, and said he had stabbed her and had a gun. There were also sounds of a struggle and what seemed like stabbing noises in the background. She repeated Rannon's name several times and begged for help, saying he was killing her. Then, the recording suddenly went silent, but the line was still open. In the background, the 911 operator could hear a man shouting angrily with profanity. The dispatcher tried to check if Sharnice was still on the line, but there was no response, just silence. Then, the sound of a gunshot can be heard. A little later, Officer Courtier from the Kenosha Police Department arrived at the scene within minutes, and Rannon came out of the house with his hands up, covered in blood. When the officers entered the house, they found Sharnice in a bad state in the back stairwell. There was a serrated blade on the floor, a shotgun in the hallway, and a lot of blood on the first floor and stairs. Sharnice was unresponsive and had many stab wounds. Despite their efforts, the officers and the Kenosha Fire Department's EMTs
I do need to make mention, just for YouTube purposes, we're just covering a news report on what happened. This is not meant to like shock or discuss views or anything like that, just for YouTube purposes. But yo, first off, we need to give a shout out to the police officers. You know what I'm saying? I feel like some, like, we know police officers could make a lot of wrong decisions at times, you know what I'm saying, and hurt people. Like, they just sometimes have a big ego, and you know, we all get it. You feel what I'm saying? They just be snooping around looking for stuff. But like, at the end of the day, yo, pulling up to a scene where you know there's an angry man with a gun, like you pulling up ready to, you know what I'm saying, shoot from the hip like that. You feel what I'm saying? Like, there's a certain level of bravery that also comes with that. But man, this is crazy. This man is ruthless, bro.
Couldn't save Sharnice,
but we already knew
and
that.
She was pronounced dead at her home that day. Rannon was quickly arrested. He was charged with first-degree intentional homicide and possession of a firearm by a felon. The autopsy performed the next day showed that Sharnice died from a gunshot to her torso and multiple stab wounds. The doctor found stab wounds on her head, torso, and arm, along with other serious injuries. Rannon admitted to detectives that he had stabbed Sharnice multiple times with 2 knives and had shot her once. He claimed it was self-defense, but his story didn't match the evidence. Before this incident, Rannon had threatened Sharnice in text messages because he believed she had cheated on him. This wasn't the first time he abused her and accused her of cheating. Rannon had a troubling history of physically harming women when they didn't do what he wanted.
Bro, ain't no way that he did all of this just off of an accusation. I mean, look. Ain't no way he did it, period. But he did. You feel what I'm saying? But if he did it just off of accusation, bro, that's even like, what? I didn't think it could get worse.
About a year and a half before Sharnice Brown's tragic murder, he brutally attacked her on October 16, 2019. He punched her in the face, back, and ribs repeatedly, all while angrily accusing her of infidelity by screaming, "Who have you been with?" These abusive and controlling words he used during the attack were eerily similar to what he was heard shouting in the 911 call when Sharnice was killed. Unfortunately, the Kenosha County District Attorney's Office dropped the charges against Rannon for the 2019 assault, citing Sharnice's recantation of her initial allegations, which made it challenging to prosecute him. This illustrates the extent of control that Rannon exerted over his victims. In 2011, he also faced charges for using bear spray on a previous girlfriend, which led to a domestic abuse case against him. Rannon appeared virtually for his bond hearing.
This man need a triple Mac Deluxe uppercut to the chin. What's wrong with this dude? He over here using bear spray on a girl? Bro, what?
Your Honor, the state is asking for a bond hearing today. We are asking the court to set bond at this time at $1 million cash bond. Right now, the charges that we are examining are for first-degree intentional homicide with a dangerous weapon and possession of a firearm by a felon. The information that we have so far is that on March 8th, 2021, Kenosha Police Department dispatch received a 911 call from Sharnice Brown at about 5:20 p.m. In listening to that recording, Ms. Brown can be heard screaming for help, crying, saying, "He's trying to kill me, help me, he's about to kill me, he's killing me, his name is Raynon, he stabbed me, he's got a gun, help, help." Then you can hear scuffling sounds, you can hear what sounds to be like stabbing sounds. She again repeats his name, that it's Raynon Brownlee. She says, "He is killing me, help me, please." And then there's silence while the line is still open. And in the background, you can hear the voice of a male yelling with the use of profanity, "Who you effing, who you effing." And then there are sounds that appear to be either striking or stabbing sounds. The dispatcher asks Ms. Brown if she is still with her. There's silence, and then there is the sound of what appears to be a shotgun going off. That shotgun, seconds later.
Oh snap! I'm just putting two and two together. So this is the judge, and then this is the jury. I'm pretty sure these are just like regular citizens that listen to the story and decide whether he's guilty or not. So that's kind of crazy. This is a crazy story just for a regular citizen, like just to, you know what I'm saying, pop in and start hearing about it. It was like, yo.
Officer Courtier from the Kenosha Police Department arrives at the residence. At that time, Mr. Brownlee exits the residence with his hands up. He's covered in blood, both on his clothing, his shoes, the knees of his pants. When the officers enter the residence, they find Ms. Brown in the back stairwell. There's a serrated blade on the floor. There was a shotgun in the hallway. And there's a tremendous amount of blood throughout the first floor and on the stairwell going from the kitchen to the side exits. She's not responsive. She's apparently unconscious at that time. Officers observed numerous puncture wounds. They do move her and attempt life-saving efforts. They are unable to revive her. The Kenosha Fire Department arrives and their EMTs also attempt life-saving measures, which were unsuccessful, and Ms. Brown was determined to be deceased at the home that day. Mr. Brownlee did speak to detectives. He did admit to stabbing Ms. Brown using 2 knives at least 7 times. He admitted to shooting her once. He indicated that she was on the back stairwell in a kneeling position at the time that he shot her. He says that he also stabbed her in the upstairs bedroom in the closet. He admitted that he stabbed her while she was on the phone with 911, which were the sounds that we believe we heard. He did try to explain his actions as self-defense. The version that he gave at this point seems inconsistent with the evidence that were observed, in particular the shotgun to her back, to the forward, that they were in an argument, that the children observed. Bro. Children heard. There were 6 children
oh my God.
in the home. Mr. Brownlee did not have injuries consistent with self-defense or consistent with his version. His injuries were to his hands in a directionality consistent with the knife slipping as he's holding it in his hand, which would be likely considering the amount of that was discovered on Ms. Brown's body at the time that the officers arrived. There were prior threats by Mr. Brownlee to Ms. Brown. In fact, the phone records revealed that the day before he was angry with her and sending her threatening text messages because he believed that
I think this dude right here is possibly the individual that's representing him. But at the end of the day, he already did plead. Like, he already said that he did the crime. You feel what I'm saying? It's just a matter of him getting it for self-defense or not. But just trying to really back up someone when you know they just wholeheartedly did something like that is kind of... It's just an interesting position to take, but that's a part of your job. But you don't have to... I don't think you have to back someone up like that.
She had cheated on him over the weekend. He
as a lawyer
says, you played me all weekend, have fun tonight like it's your last. You already cheated, the crime is done. Just remember your saying, the state can have my kids, they're better off. I don't care what happens to me, life is over to me. I'm done, I can't take it no more. And then he also sent her a text saying your balloon release party is coming, which Miss Brown's party, Miss Brown's family explains that they were having an event for Ms. Brown's brother who had been murdered in Michigan, where they were going to release balloons in commemoration of his life and death. And so it appears that this text message by Mr. Brownlee was warning Ms. Brown that her balloon release party was coming. He does admit that he sent that text message. He denied that it was a death threat. Mr. Brownlee is a felon. He denied being a felon in his interview with the detectives. He does have what the family say are unreported domestic violence.
Bro, how do you deny being a felon to detectives and have a whole entire camera roll of different prison pictures?
Violence incidences with Ms. Brown. So the state is asking for the bond at this time based on a probable cause finding, and we would ask that the initial appearance be scheduled for Friday if that's possible.
The court set a bond for Rannon at $1 million. During the trial for Sharnice's murder, jurors were presented with a series of text messages that depicted a man who was controlling, violent, and malevolent, aiming to dominate every aspect of Sharnice's life.
So a bond of $1 million means that if he's able to pay the $1 million, he's able to get out of jail?
After Sharnice expressed that she wanted to end the relationship, he seemed determined to keep her in it, even if it meant taking her life. A few weeks before the tragic incident, Sharnice's brother was tragically murdered in Detroit, and her family held a balloon release event in his memory. In one of the text messages, Rannon ominously mentioned, "Your balloon release is coming." When questioned by detectives, Rannon provided an explanation that was deemed unreasonable and was interpreted as a sinister promise to harm Sharnice, according to D.A. Gravely. In his closing arguments, D.A. Gravely emphasized that the jury should not believe Rannon's explanations and should consider the troubling content of the text messages as evidence of his intentions. About 20 loved ones, including family and friends of Sharnice, were present for the entire trial. In December 2022, it took the jury only about 30 minutes to find Rannon Brownlee guilty.
A jury found a Kenosha man guilty at trial for the murder of a woman that happened last year. 51-year-old Rannon Brownlee stabbed and shot Sharnice Brown back in March of 2021. Uring called 911, and Brown could be heard repeatedly saying, "He's trying to kill me, help me." Prosecutors say Brownlee admitted to stabbing the victim at least 7 times using 2 knives. He also admitted to stabbing and shooting her while she was on the phone. His sentencing is set for next February.
Yo, realistically, like, it doesn't get any more clear than the devil working through this man right here. Like, it doesn't get, I don't know what happened in his childhood, but whatever happened to him in his childhood for him to get like this was already the devil at work. Whether it was like traumatizing, whatever it was, his upbringing. But for an individual to get this far gone and, like, to say the least, psychotic and insane, to say, yo, my life is over before it's like even over, and not care about your children or the girl, like, that has to be a very far level of mental delusion. It's just crazy.
Assistant District Attorney Emily
pure
Gardner
hate.
said Rannon killed Brown because his emotions and his ego could not handle the fact that she was really done with him. The judge called the case a tragedy and said Brown's killing was an extremely brutal attack. "I don't believe a word you say," the judge told Rannon. "You made a choice that your power and control over her were more important than anything else." He sentenced Rannon to life in prison without the possibility of parole. What happened to Sharnice was a tragedy. She didn't deserve her life to be brutally taken away from her for simply wanting to move on with her life. How could Rannon take the life of someone he once loved and in the presence of all of their children? She didn't deserve this. She should be here. My condolences to her friends and
Yeah, that's
family.
a fact. Yeah, that's crazy. Now, this is like one of the most extreme cases you could possibly get of a toxic relationship or even a toxic individual. But if there's anything we can take from this video right here, we need to have like a certain level of discernment when it comes to the individuals that we really like give our heart to and spend a lot of time with and grow a connection with, because we just have to keep our, like, we just have to choose wisely. You know what I'm saying? Especially if it's like a life partner, like that's going to be someone that's like constantly there, most likely possibly influencing your thoughts, whether it's like toxic, abusive, whatever it is, man. Hope you guys did enjoy this video though. Like I said, if you guys do enjoy these true crimes, I find them really crazy because it's like, yo, this really happened in real life. You feel what I'm saying? So smash the like button, comment that down below. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. I already said that. Love you guys. I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one. Peace. Love y'all.